Hi everybody, it's Gemma. Welcome back to Pampered Wolf. Today we are going to be doing another foundation review. I'm really sorry for all those of you who don't like foundation reviews, but there aren't any new releases coming out in the next few weeks, so this will probably be the last one for a while. And this is a request from a subscriber. This subscriber has read quite a bit about this product, seen a bit about this product on Instagram, and really wondered if it was worth all the hype. Is this foundation going to be the next best thing for an over 35 skin? Hopefully by the end of the day, I am going to be able to tell you that. We are going to be reviewing the brand new CIATE London Radiant and Hydrating Extraordinary Foundation. This is called something completely different online. It has the longest name in the history of foundations and I still cannot get it in my head, so I am going to have to read it off this paper. CIATE London Extraordinary Radiant Buildable Liquid Foundation. Extraordinary foundation would have sufficed. It really would. Anyway, this is supposed to be a buildable foundation, so you are supposed to be able to get quite a light coverage up to a full coverage. So I'm really excited to try this today, as it is supposed to be a radiant foundation, and you know I don't like a flat matte foundation. I like something that's a little bit more natural. Let's do a little bit of bump about this product and I'll get some on my face. Okay, so this is the packaging that it comes in. It's really quite nice actually, really like that. When you open the box, you get a sort of creamy pinky coloured tube, and it comes with a pump, which you all know makes me very, very happy. So again, this is the brand new CIATE London Extraordinary Radiant Buildable Liquid Foundation, and if I'm going to continue to use the full name of this foundation throughout this entire video, this video will be extremely long, so I am going to shorten it to just Extraordinary Foundation, and if you type that in Google, it will come up. So this is £28 in the UK, $34 in the US, and if you're in the EU, it's €32.95. If you buy this from the CIATE London website, you also benefit from a 14-day trial, and if you figure out you don't like this within the 14 days and you return it within those 14 days, you do get a full refund, which is a great benefit. This is also 50 mils, so you're actually getting more product, a lot more product, than is standard. Standard is 30 mils, so you're almost getting double the amount of product for the price of this foundation. This comes in 20 different shades and the shade range is quite diverse. I've gone for the shade 101N, which is Porcelain. I have no idea whether this is going to be a great match for my skin because I've not tried this before, but fingers crossed it will be. This is long lasting. It's a weightless, pore and imperfection smoothing foundation. We're going to see. This is medium buildable coverage. It's also got Mimosa and Arctic Rose in here, which add a radiant glow to the skin without being too glowy. And it's also got hyaluronic acid and squalane in here as well to hydrate and moisturize the skin throughout the day. This has got bamboo extract in here as well to control your natural oil production throughout the day. So this may be also good for anybody who suffers with an oilier skin, as well as those who have a dry skin. The bamboo extract also adds a smoothing effect on the skin, so this is looking good already, and I've not tried it yet. Out of 50 consumers that were surveyed, 100% agreed that this blurred their pores. 100% said that they agreed that their skin felt hydrated. And 96% agreed that their skin looked more radiant. So this is a real added bonus. This is paraben free, it's cruelty free, and it's also vegan friendly. Let's get some of this on. So I'm going to put in half of this foundation on with a brush and half of it with a blending sponge. The brush that I'm using today is the Revolution Pro 230 brush. I will link it down below. It's an excellent brush, really sturdy, really dense brush, great for putting on foundation, especially if you want a lighter coverage, because this is so dense it does allow you to spread the foundation really, really nicely and thinly on your skin. And it's affordable as well. It's from Revolution and all their products tend to be quite affordable. So let's get some of this on. It feels very cooling as soon as it hits the skin. A little definitely goes a really long way. I like that. Now, I've hardly used any products whatsoever. I actually put 2 pumps on my hand before I started. This is quite a thick, creamy consistency, and a little definitely goes a long way. This has spread so beautifully on my skin. As you can see, it gives a really beautiful, radiant glow without being too dewy at this point, and it's not dried down just yet. At the moment, I wouldn't say this has blurred out my pores, but I haven't given it a chance to dry down yet. So let's just apply the other side with a damp blending sponge and see how that goes. I'm expecting to use more product with a sponge because that's normal, you know, some of the product is actually absorbed by the sponge. One thing I will mention is if you've got pale skin like me, in fact, if you have paler skin than me, which I doubt very much because I am practically transparent, this is the palest foundation that they do within this range. So if you do have paler skin than me, you may be a little bit disappointed with the fact that you won't be able to get anything that's pale enough for you. I think this is a pretty good match for my skin. Okay, so both sides are on now, and regardless of whether I used a brush or a blending sponge, both sides look practically the same. So I would recommend for this particular foundation to use a brush because I used so much less with a brush than I did with the sponge. A lot of the product was soaked up by the sponge. I'm going to give this 5 minutes to dry down, and then I'm going to show you it in natural lighting before I put all the rest of my products on. Okay, so this is what the foundation looks like in natural lighting. It's pleasant, it's okay, but I am a little bit disappointed because on paper, this should be absolutely amazing. Now this actually feels quite heavy on my skin, and I think it actually looks quite heavy as well. It sat on the surface of the skin rather than blending in with the skin and being one with the skin. It's just sat on the surface. It hasn't dried down yet. It's been at least 10 minutes since I applied it, and it's still very, very tacky to touch. Like you saw, I hardly applied any of the foundation, especially on the brush side, and it's just sat there as if it's waiting for something to happen. I'm really hoping that this dries down because, like I said, on paper, this should be absolutely amazing, but at the moment, it's not delivering in that way. It hasn't airbrushed my pores yet, but again, hasn't dried down yet. It's trying to sit in my fine lines around my mouth. It's really giving it a very good go, and I keep on having to do this with my finger to try and blend it back out again. But again, it hasn't dried down yet, so I am still hopeful. I'm gonna go and put the rest of my products on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the finished look that I've come up with today. If you have a really good eye for detail, you will probably notice that I started off this video with blue eyes, and now I have brown eyes. Well, there's a really good reason for that. I filmed the first part of this video a couple of days ago and then really wasn't very well, so couldn't complete the wear test and film a little bit later on. So I'm doing that part of this video today. Really bad news for me because I really didn't feel well, but really good news for you because from here on in, this is no longer a first impressions review. I've been able to play around with this foundation over the last few days, really find out how it works best on my skin so I can pass that knowledge on to you. Anyway, back to this foundation. It takes forever to dry down. It's really annoying. It probably took around about 25 minutes to properly dry down. And within that 25 minutes, it felt quite tacky and heavy on my skin. And if you touch the foundation, it did lift off. So you have to be very patient if you're wanting to get this foundation. Now, once it did dry down, and it has dried down now, and I've applied all the rest of my products, it's an absolute dream to work with. This is just the right amount of radiance on my skin. It doesn't look like I've been for a jog around the block in the heat and now my face needs blotting. It's just the right amount of shine that's really flattering on my skin. It is a little bit heavier than I would usually go for in the daytime. This goes on a lovely medium coverage and it can be built up to full coverage. It looks a little bit like the Too Faced Born This Way foundation in the sort of dewy aspect, and also it's not overly skin-like when it's full coverage. It does look like you've got foundation on your skin, but it's still a really nice look. So if you're wanting something that is completely skin-like, this might not be the foundation for you. As far as all the claims that it makes, I do feel like it has airbrushed my pores, especially around this area here, and applying a little bit of powder to those areas added to that airbrushing as well. I did need to powder this foundation, like I said, right before you've come to this section of the video. This did try and creep into my fine lines around my mouth as it's drying down, and it takes a long time to dry down, like I've just said. But if you catch it right at the right moment, you can just smooth that in just before it dries down, add a little bit of powder, and then it's stuck for the rest of the day. It shouldn't move too much. It does look really flattering on my skin though. All my other products applied like a dream. I'm gonna get on with the rest of my day. We're gonna hopefully complete the wear test today. We've got a birthday in the house, by the way. It's Bee's birthday on Wednesday of next week. This is Sunday at the moment, and this video will air on Monday. But on Wednesday is Bee's birthday, so today we're having a party for her with all her friends. So I'm going to check in with you a little bit later on. I may be slightly frazzled, but it will be a really good test for the foundation because, well, I might be quite tired. I'll see you all in a little bit. Hi everybody, welcome back to the check-in. It's now been just over 10 hours since I first applied this foundation to my face, and it is all still there. A tiny little bit has started to wear down on the end of my chin, but I still do have foundation on the end of my chin, and as per usual, I am a little bit oily around this part. Now, this is not a first impressions review. Like I said earlier on, I have been wearing this for the last few days, and I can tell you that it hasn't performed at the same level every single day because I've tried it with different primers, I've tried it with different SPFs. Today I've got more of a hydrating SPF on and a more hydrating primer, and it hasn't lasted as long today as it did yesterday when I had a more mattifying SPF on. This foundation is so super hydrating that you really don't need a hydrating primer on underneath it. The airbrushing capabilities on my cheek area lasted between 6 and 8 hours. I can't tell you exactly whether it was 6 hours or 8 because I didn't actually look at my face in that 2-hour window. I just noticed after 8 hours the pores looked a little bit more noticeable. One thing I will say about this is regardless of what you put underneath it, I didn't think that this oxidized throughout the day, and it has definitely held all my products in place. I did powder once earlier on, which I don't normally do within a wear test, but it was getting slightly dewier than I wanted, and I knew I had to go to Bee's birthday party, so I just wanted to mattify that down in certain areas. But where I put the powder, it hasn't gone cakey at all or started to look a little bit sludgy. As you can see, I've been wearing my glasses today, so around where I've had my glasses on does look, well, it's worn away and it's gone a little bit cakey over those points, but this is a medium to full coverage foundation, so I wouldn't have expected anything less whatsoever. Now, this foundation does try to suit all skin types, and it does say that it should suit all skin types. I think if you've got an oily skin, you could probably get away with this, but you have to have the right primer and SPF on underneath it. Otherwise, you will look like an oil slick by the end of the day. You'll probably still have foundation on your face, but it won't look very pleasant. As well, if you have a dry skin, I don't usually have any oils come throughout the day on my cheek area. My cheek area is completely dry to the touch. Feels slightly dehydrated, so I would definitely put a hydrating primer on underneath on your cheek area if you have dry cheeks or dryness anywhere on your face, but it's all still there. With regards to whether this is transfer resistant, no, it is not. I've had quite a few phone calls today, and every single time I've taken my phone away from my face, it's been covered in the foundation. So this is definitely not one if you're wanting something that is completely transfer resistant or transfer proof. This is one to dodge, definitely, because although it still does look like all my foundation is intact, it has been coming off on my phone throughout the day. One thing I want to mention, if you do have oily skin, at the moment my skin is quite oily on my T-zone. I've been running around like my hair's on fire, and I've also got a really hydrating SPF and a primer on underneath this. And if I press my chin, which is quite oily at the moment, and lift my fingers off, there is a little bit of product that's lifted off onto my fingertips. So that's just something to bear in mind if you do have oily skin. Is this the best foundation in the entire world? No, probably not. This isn't the nicest foundation that I've ever had on my face. I go for something a little bit lighter, but it's a really good foundation and you get a lot of product for your money. I know it's £28, but you do get a whole 50 mils worth of product, and if you buy it direct from the CIATE website, you're getting 14 days of a free trial. You can send it back within those 14 days for a full refund. So this is definitely worth going out and trying, even if you don't think you're going to like it. Buy it, try it, send it back if you don't like it. But I think my skins look really, really flattering all day, and it's held, and I have had a busy day. So let me know what you think of this foundation in the comments section below. I've really enjoyed wearing it. I think it looks really nice on my skin. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. There is a watermark in this corner. If you click on it, it will take you through to my homepage where you can subscribe. Hope to see you all again soon. Bye.